Alright, welcome back everybody. We're going to do a pod review today on that pepper right there. So let's go over there and check it out. It's the end of the year, so all the leaves are starting to fall. And so what I'm going to do with this particular plant is it depends if all these pods ripen or they're not ripen. If all these pods don't ripen, I'm going to bring it in just the way it is. And I do have room that I made for these taller varieties of plants so they can finish ripening indoors. I'm not going to prune it down. I don't want to lose the pods. I want the pods to ripen on the plant. So in order for me to do that, I need to bring it in full. I can't prune it or really anything with the pods on it. So it looks like I might have to do that with this variety. But let's show you one of the flowers. I think there's one or two flowers on here. We'll tell you what variety it is in a second. Okay, so there's the flower. Just wanted to show you what it looked like. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll pick one or two of these pods. Looks like all the wild peppers, they pretty much just pop right off the calyx. Literally fall right off it. So if you're somebody who likes making hot sauce, this would be a good pepper for you to grow. You just need to grow a lot of them because these peppers are very, very small. And you need a lot of them. Okay, so the pepper variety that this is Cap 871 or 872? 872. This is the variety, Cap 870. And so I would imagine this is probably a Capsicum annuum variety, glabriusculum. I think it's something like that pronounced. So I'd imagine it's probably in that family of things. Try to give you a good view. Gorgeous little pepper. Alright, they're falling out of my hand. Alright, so let's turn you around and give that a go. Alright, here we are doing another pod review on a pepper right here called Cap 872. I'm not sure what species it is. It might be a Capsicum annuum variety, glabriusculum, I think, or something like that. Generally, those varieties are mostly native to the United States, but I don't know offhand. I don't have all the information in front of me. So what I'll do is I'll just put all that information in the description below, and you can read about it there. Alright, this video we're mainly going to focus on what does it taste like and what is the heat, and maybe my opinion on a few things, and anything special about it I will point it out in this video. So here it is. And am I in frame? That's it right there. So let's give that a go. Okay, so it's pretty much very typical to the bird pepper. We'll go over the flavor first, let the heat build a little. As far as the flavor goes, it's very typical for the bird type peppers flavors. Not Tabasco per se, but more of an annuum flavor. Tabascos are frutescents, and frutescents have a little bit different of a flavor. But the bird peppers, the pekins, the tepins, those kind of things, they have a certain kind of a flavor, really. I can't really compare it to anything. Yeah, if you were to like put it into a major category, you'd want to lean more towards the cayenne flavors, but it doesn't taste like cayenne. It tastes like a bird pepper. Pekin comes to mind. If you've ever eaten wild Texas peppers or anything like that, which I will do a video in the future. I'm going to make a trip to the Midwest as well as Texas and some of the other southern states down there where these peppers kind of grow wild. And we'll just look at what's out there and we'll do some taste tests on scene. But that's not until I can get some money to actually do the traveling. But this has that kind of a flavor. It tastes very much like that. I really can't get into, the nuances of that. It would take me hours, and you just get lost in the flavor. I have to keep eating them. Now, let's talk about the heat a little bit. The heat is I call it a frontal burn, because I don't know what else to say. It's not really a deep burn in the back of the throat. The concentration of heat is really burning into the front part of my mouth where I chewed it. I pretty much chewed it up, and there was really nothing but seeds and skin and just that little bit of mash in the middle, and it was gone. And either you swallow the seeds or you spit them out or chew them if you want. And so that whole region takes place in the front of your mouth because it's such a small pepper. You're not really, crunching on it. So the whole area of that pepper took place in the front of my mouth. So basically, the whole front of my mouth, including my lips a little bit, are burning in the front part of it, whereas the rest of it going towards the back isn't really doing anything, really. Not really. Kind of goes back down to the sides of the tongue a little bit, but other than that, it's just the whole front part of the mouth, the lips, the front part of the tongue, underneath the front part of the tongue, on the top of the tongue, going back a little, down the sides a little bit, maybe a little bit further back than the front part. The gums are heated up, a little bit tingly, and the lips, really, that's where the concentration of it is. But it didn't really go into the back. Now I'm sure if I keep eating them, that heat will travel to the back of my mouth. Eventually, it will get back there. But in general, just like eating one or two of these things, it's all going to be where you chew it. In general, with a pepper like this, it's really small. You kind of just want to get that little bit of mash out of there and spit the skins and seeds out if you were eating them in the wild. And so you're going to get that frontal burn because you're going to do all that work up front with your front teeth. You're going to just basically break it up a little, and it pretty much gushes out, If you were to take that pepper and just squeeze it like that, the whole inside would just pop right out. You'd be left with nothing but the skin on the inside. And then from there, you can just do that to a bunch of them, and then you can turn that into sauce very easily. And then from there, if you want to, after you liquefy it a little bit, you can either take the seeds out or just leave them in there with the sauce. I would leave them in with the sauce, to be honest with you, and just let the whole thing. But you want to get those skins out of there because the skin part of it, I don't know, it just, in sauces, it's just going to be a pain in the neck. It's not going to work out right unless you blend it, you can try that. But I would take those skins after if you get enough of them, just dehydrate them or put them in the sun for a few hours. They'll dry out nice, and then you can just flake them, just crush them up a little bit, and then you can flake them and eat them that way. You don't have to waste any part of the pepper. Or just eat it whole and then swallow the whole thing. So as far as the heat goes, as far as the intensity of that heat, I wouldn't put this thing too much past 20,000, maybe 25,000 on a Scoville, this pepper anyway. Like I said, the whole burn was in the front, and it's pretty much a short-lived burn. So it comes in very strong when you first eat it, and then it tapers off relatively pretty quickly. And it's not totally gone. It's still there, but it's not like it was when I first ate it. When I first ate it, that intensity was really up. And then it just drops back relatively pretty quickly compared to most other peppers. It doesn't last forever. What else can I say about this pepper? Again, there's a lot of, just so you guys know, there's a lot of wild pepper varieties that grow in the United States. A lot of them are not even documented yet. So there's a lot of undocumented varieties that are very regional and specific to very localized areas. Because of that reason, there's so many of them out there, there's just no way to actually categorize every single one of them. How do you tell a difference on them? I'm not even sure if they can tell a difference through testing the chromosomes because they're all basically the same species. So I don't know how you tell a difference between one cultivar and another, basically. They're the same species. They're all Capsicum, annuum, variety, glabriusculum. They're all that thing, but the cultivars change a little bit, so some of them might be a little longer of a pepper, some might be. And you got to remember too, these are wild peppers, so they're constantly crossbreeding with other cultivars that are growing nearby. So they're constantly changing and growing. But there are areas of the United States, mostly in the west, southwest, Texas, and going into the northern parts of Mexico, where there's these very regional areas that have varieties that grow very specific to even small areas. It could just be like one patch of these plants that only grow in one area, and that is it. You won't find them anywhere else in the world. So there are areas like that. Because of that reason, these peppers, there's too many of them to actually categorize. There's a lot of them. And nobody really took the time out to actually go through and categorize and you know, botanist-wise. I'm talking about botanists. They never actually did that. And if they did, maybe I don't know about it. But there's a lot of them. So as far as the heat goes on this and the taste, it's very typical to that type of pepper in general. Most of those peppers are all generally going to have a very similar flavor. Heats vary a little bit from one to the other, and the way the heat strikes your palate is going to vary a little bit as well, because they're all slightly different. And they also vary quite a bit based on rainfall. And they also vary quite a bit based on the season too. So if it's a very dry, hot season, they might tend to be a lot hotter than what I just told you, because I'm watering this plant. It's in partial shade. These plants grow in very arid conditions. And a lot of times when they're growing in those very hot and arid conditions, those temperatures, those Scoville unit values can go way up. So what I showed you right here, yeah, that's one thing. If I was to eat this in its natural environment where it's cooking hot in the Midwest, that would probably be double, triple, quadruple the heat. It's probably excruciating to eat one of those, because that plant is constantly under stress, heat stress. It's being cooked by the sun constantly. Animals and bugs are attacking it probably. And so that plant is going to produce some very, very hot pods. So just keep that in mind. In most cultivated environments like what we do here, they're not going to generally get as hot as they could because of that reason. In its natural environment, it's really going to be stressed out. But it's a good pepper. Again, it's a very typical flavor. If you know what pekins taste like, or tepins, this is going to fall into that flavor profile line. Again, there might be some small nuances to this that I'm not really necessarily picking out. It's really hard to say, you know, what these little nuances are. It's really hard to pick them up because the flavors come and they go really quick. So, but it does have its own flavor, and it is really nice. And if you're a collector, this would be a good one to add to your seed collection. If you're a pepper collector or a seed collector, or variety collector, this would be a good one to add to it and perpetuate that species. So anyway, guys, I don't know what else to say about the pepper. It's a good one, and what I'll do is I will leave information in the description below, as well as my website. I will also leave a link in the description below where you can buy seeds for it. And if you decide that you want to grow it yourself, give it a go. Also, too, I just remembered now, also, too, keep in mind, too, a lot of these plants in their native environments, they can withstand winters, really cold winters. The whole top part of the plant dies off. But as long as if the ground doesn't necessarily freeze, the bottom part will stay alive. That's why I always call them the lower part of the plant like a bulb. That'll actually stay alive, and then it'll come up new again in spring, and the plant will just keep growing. So some of those plants out there could be, you know, 50, 60, 70, 80 years old. Who knows, you know? I mean, some of them look like trees or bushes, very thick bases, woody bushes, and they've been there for a very, very long time because they survived these winters. Generally, the winters down there, it's just usually a top frost, and then there's really no deep freeze into the soil. So that bottom part of the plant can really live for a long, long period of time. Plus, out in the deserts, too, you got to remember the nights could drop all the way down to freezing almost every day, even in the middle of summer. So temperatures really drop a lot, and those plants are really accustomed to it. So I just wanted to make sure I said that. I kind of left my mind when I was talking before. But anyway, guys, the link will be in the description. That's it. That was your pod review for Cap 872. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care.